everyone. If you want to drive in Japan and if you are a complete beginner, then this video is for you. Hello, this is Raunak, and as like you, I was also interested about to driving in Japan. And when I go through the YouTube, I found most of the video actually telling me how to drive in Japan, but they are not telling me exactly from where to start and where to end to make whole procedure very smooth. So that's why this video is for you. So normally in Japan, if you want to take a driving license, so you need to go through a process. So normally there is a two exam. One is called Karimen and one is called Honmen. So basically in Karimen actually is called kinda learner's permit in English, and Honmen is the driving test. So in Karimen, first of all you need to sit for a written test. So in written test basically there's a 50 questions. So you need to score at least 90 because each question have 2 marks. And when you pass the written test, then you can go for the Kariman practical test. So normally, in some police centers, they have a track. So in those tracks, you need to drive and you need to maintain certain routes. And then, if you pass that Kariman practical test, then comes the final one, which is Honman. So Honman is basically you need to go for another round of written test, but there is 100 question this time, and you need to 90 out of 100 marks to pass the online written test. So it's basically there are some chapters which is included, a lot of practical knowledge is there as well. So after that, if you pass that home written test, then comes the home driving test. So in home driving test, you drive actually on the road. So police gonna sit beside you and you're gonna drive and they're gonna take notes. So you need to get at least 70 to pass the home driving test. So this is the whole process in summary. But if you want to know in more details that how can you pass those exams. So normally, as like me, if you are a complete beginner like me, so we need to go for a driving school. But if some people who have the driving license back to their country, so they maybe can convert these things. So I'm not going to talk about these converting things. I'm going to talk about who are the beginners. So normally in beginners, you need to go to the driving school. And as you can see, I can't speak Japanese. I mean, very little, so it's not enough to go for a driving school and take a lesson in Japanese. So I was searching English school in Japan, basically in Kansai area. So normally it's very hard to find an English based school, basically a driving school in Kansai area. So finally I found one school. It's actually in Wakayama. So I live in Nara. I mean very close to Osaka, but Wakayama is like 100 kilometers far. So it's very far. But anyway, I chose that school and because they are teaching me in English and kind of cheap. So yeah, I'm gonna give you the link in the description. You can check it out, the school as well. So and then I admitted to the school, and the school was one giving me one good thing. I can say it's like you don't need to go for an uh, theoretical class because they're gonna give you their online materials and everything. You can just read it and go for the written test. So I did these things and I passed the current written test. So it was very fun, and also I can say it was a little bit tricky because you were gonna go test in English. So normally when you go to the police center, you need to tell that okay, I want to take test on English. So they're gonna give you the question paper in English, and you need to give the exam. Sometimes translation is a bit tricky, but for me in Kariman exam, I found the translation is totally good, so you don't need to worry about that. So if you got 90 marks and then you go for the Kariman practical driving test. So normally in my school, me and my instructor, who is very friendly and actually he taught me very well. So there are several rules you need to remember. Yeah, if you are in some driving school, they're gonna teach you, but normally there's a very strict rules. One is like, for example, if you are veering, then you need to be very close. I mean, at least 30 meter close to the uh, right line. And also you need to remember, like, for example, you're gonna go left, so before 30 meters of the intersection you need to press the uh, left indicator. So these are the things you need to remember. So it's very tricky because it, if you, I mean, did one or two things wrong, they're gonna cut 10 marks. So it's like if you do just normal three things wrong, you're gonna get failed in a driving test. So uh, fortunately I passed the test. Then comes the Honman. So Honman written test is like, so there's one book I'm gonna share with you. So, so in these books, so basically, this is the book. Actually, you can see it. So these book have 14 chapters uh, for the first phase and the 14 chapter for the second phase. So normally, for first 14 chapters, it's actually for Kaiman, but at Honman, it's like 28 chapters all for Honman. So basically, in Honman written test, what I actually realized that the questions are mostly about to the real roads, because after that you're gonna drive in real roads. So you get a lot of question of the second part of that book. So if you completed this book, I think it will take 4 or 5 days to read it and check all the rules, as because Japan have different rules, as you know. They drive on the left side, and also there are several signs. You need to remember those things, and you need to take a test of that. And after that, there's a final part. So the final part is that, as I mentioned, like, you need to drive on the real roads. So basically, if you pass the Kariman practical test, so before going home, man, you need to test 10 hours. You need to not test. I mean, you need to practice 10 hours on the real roads, which is kinda, I can say it's a strict rule, but it's very helpful to pass the test, because if you drive 10 hours on some practical, I mean, real roads, then actually you are kind of experienced driver for that test, basically. So after that, what you need to do, like, you need to go for a test, and if you pass the test, so yeah, you are done. So there are several maps police gonna give you. I, like, for example, in my center in Wakayama, there is a B C D F. There are 6 maps, so they're gonna give you one map and ask you to remember these maps, I mean, within 10 minutes. And then further, you need to drive on those maps, though police gonna instruct you. No, don't need to worry about that. Like, okay, I forgot the maps, doesn't matter, police gonna instruct you, go left, go right. So yeah, it's not that much harder, actually. And we have passed the test, so it's done. So there's another, I mean, tough thing. Not tough, I can say this tricky thing. It's like, for example, I was from Nara Prefecture, but I was doing the test in Wakayama. So basically, from all those tests, the home and written test, basically you need to take it on your own prefecture. For example, for me it was in Nara, but yeah, it was, well, good. But the thing is that, like, you're gonna to test in English, but police gonna talk to you in Japanese. But it's not that much hard. I mean, like, migi, hidari, left, right, this kind of small phrases they're gonna tell you to go there, and sometimes they use translator, and they're very, very helpful. They're very helpful. I mean, I've never seen police have been that much helpful in my entire life, but that was very good, actually. So yeah, that's the whole process. And I think if you want some tricks about the drivings, so you can get a lot of videos in YouTube. So I don't think I need this kind of videos to make. But if you want to make yourself more good on the written test, there's a lot of online websites. If you just search it, and then you can to practice with them, and it will make you a good fit for the test. So that's all from me today about the driving license. See you on next.